There we go.
All right, we are now live. Okay, fantastic. So again, my name is Emily Bucco. I'm one of the counselors that works here in the admissions office. We are thrilled to have everyone joining us tonight for our computer science academic session. I am going to turn the reins over to Professor Wills and our student Avery to introduce themselves and get the session started. The only thing I'll let you guys know is I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'm going to be behind the scenes managing the question and answer. So if you have questions at any point during the session, feel free to throw them in there, and we will definitely address those as we near the end of the presentation. And on that note, I'm going to let you take it away, Craig.
Okay, so my name is Craig Wills. I'm the head of the computer science department at WPI. I have with me Avery. Avery, why don't you just introduce yourself and say hi?
Hi there. So I'm Avery. I'm a fourth year computer science student here. I'm also double majoring in mathematics, and I'm looking to take a master's degree in a fifth year with the BSMS program in computer security. So I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, and I'm glad to be here to answer any questions.
Okay, great. So the way we're gonna work it is I'm going to go through a presentation here fairly quickly, because I'd like to make sure that we have lots of time for Q&A and because that's the real important part. So I have a couple of kids myself. My kids are in their like mid-20s. I've been through the admission process on the parent side, so I have some sense there. You know, and as Emily said, go ahead, type in your questions. Avery may start even answering some of them that in the chat, and I'll also then, when I get done here, will either I or Avery will give answers. So let me see, get us going here. Aha. So computer science at WPI is many things, and I'm going to talk about some of the various aspects of it. So at WPI, you can certainly major in computer science, as Avery said. You can also, as part of that, you can have a concentration in cybersecurity. At the undergraduate level. We have a number of other computing related majors at WPI. You can major in interactive media and game development, robotics engineering, bioinformatics, computational biology, and our newest undergraduate major is data science. All of those have minors as well, so you can be a major, you can double major. Avery mentioned being in a 5-year or our BSMS program, that you can go ahead and do both a bachelor's and a master's degree in a reduced amount of time. So here's a picture that's kind of a related to the last picture, that there are a number of computing related programs at WPI. So computer science is in the center here. There's lots of bubbles around computer science that are other departments at WPI. And then kind of in the intersections, there's a number of these interdisciplinary programs that computer science faculty have helped develop. And in fact, the robotics engineering program was so successful, it is actually spun off into its own department here. One of the things I love about the WPI undergraduate program is its flexibility, and I'll talk more about that. We really try to limit required courses. Okay, we have lots of recommendations. We have recommended background. We don't have prerequisites. That gives a great deal of flexibility for students to be able to take the courses they're interested in. If you did not know already, WPI has a 7-week term system. So we have 4 of these 7-week terms in an academic year. So right now I'm teaching a junior level operating systems course that we have, as of today, about 2 weeks left in a term. So we call these A, B, C, D. Because we have these 7-week terms, and when students are taking one of these 7-week terms, 3 courses is the typical full-time load for students. It allows us to have frequent course offerings. We have almost all of our courses up through the junior year are offered multiple times each academic year. A great number of a variety of courses that I list here. So here's a picture of, if you are a computer science major, how are you going to spend your academic time at WPI? And this is really how both it tells you how you're going to spend your academic time, but it also really kind of demonstrates the flexibility of our curriculum. So as you see over here in the lower left, the biggest slice of the pie is computer science. Okay, so what that means is computer science, and what that represents is, as a computer science major, you need 15 undergraduate computer science courses to graduate. All right, so there's 3 requirements within computer science for a major. One, you need 15 courses. Of those 15 courses, at least 5 have to be at the 4,000 level or senior level. So we number courses in the thousands at WPI. And the third requirement is you need 1 course out of each of 4 areas. So for example, we have a systems requirement. I said I'm teaching an operating systems course. The operating systems course is a 3,000 level course that it is probably the easiest way to satisfy that systems requirement, although it's certainly not the only way. You see math and science, so students have to take at least 7 math courses. Students have to take 5 science and engineering courses. You see this thing called an MQP, you see an IQP, so those are a senior level and a junior level project. All students have to do 6 courses in humanities and arts, and there's certainly room for free electives for students to take as well. Trying to make it a little bit more concrete. So you come to WPI, you're enrolled in your first term at WPI. Well, what are you likely to do? So most students who come in who think they're interested in computer science often take our Introduction to Program Design course. So this is a course that's designed for students with no background in computer science coming in. We expect no background coming into that course. Most students coming in take a math course, so wherever you are in terms of what's the most appropriate math course you take, as I said, all students need to take humanities and arts, so maybe you're taking an English course. There's actually a physical education requirement at WPI, so maybe you take a course there. But you may come in as a computer science or interested in computer science. You may have had some prior background, and you may say, "Hey, I'm really ready for a more accelerated version of our intro course." And so we do indeed have that, and some students take that. You may have had the opportunity to take some calculus in high school, and so instead of starting out in our first calc course, you start out in our third course. We have a great problem seminar, a project-like experience that you can do in your freshman year that you may start out and do that. Or you may come in and you're ultimately a computer science major and you take no computer science. So again, we have a very flexible curriculum. You don't have to start off taking computer science. You can take computer science in the latter part of your freshman year. We have students that transfer into the major even in your sophomore year, and that's all fine. So in terms of the way I think about our courses, we have a lot of flexibility, okay? But if we also have kind of a recommended flow chart of courses and how they fit together, if you follow that flow carefully, you can have a very structured program, okay? But you can also exploit the flexibility for courses and projects that are best fit for you. And I also encourage, certainly there are not specific themes in our courses other than a cybersecurity concentration, but we have students that are particularly interested in software, they're interested in interface design, they're interested in security, data analysis, health, a whole number of directions that you can choose the particular set of courses and projects you do that kind of follow some of those themes. So computer science is people, students and faculty working together on a number of levels. So obviously in courses, we have these projects. We have projects both within courses. We have these big junior and senior level projects that are done outside of courses that all faculty need to that all students and faculty work together. For example, I had a senior project team in my office today. So that was a group of 3 students and myself, and we're actually working on a kind of a data science, sports and data science, and using some machine learning and some deep learning in terms of doing some analysis on some sports statistics there. So certainly there are a number of research opportunities, students working with faculty, beginning as undergraduates, and everybody then in terms of academic advising. At WPI, faculty teach. Okay, so all of our, for example, undergraduate courses are taught by faculty. We do have graduate and senior teaching assistants that literally assist, but in these cases, those students do assist. So we have, they may help out and lead labs. They do grading, they do office hours, and there are actually opportunities for you as students coming in as an undergraduate to get hired into one of these positions. It's actually an opportunity to make some money. The undergraduate students who help out with courses are great because they've taken these courses and so are in a good position to help out. Faculty have won a number of awards for innovative teaching, teaching technology fellowships, publishing papers with undergraduate students. There is a number of student organizations that are related to computer science that have different kinds of that have different things that each of these groups does. Okay, and so this kind of gives you a sense of that. This is a poster from a few years ago of the ACM, which is the National Computer Science Honorary. They have typically a coffee house every spring. It's kind of a talent show. So certainly projects are important and a big part of all undergraduate education at WPI. We have students in computer science for their senior level project. Most of those are done on campus, but we have a few projects that are done at project centers. So we have had students that go down to Wall Street and work with financial companies. There's one big one. We also have students working with companies out in Silicon Valley that students are going out there. So those are nice opportunities that some students can take advantage of. We have many company sponsors in the greater Boston area, and here's kind of a sampling of some of those that have sponsored projects in recent past. So those senior projects can also be sponsored by companies. So what kinds of areas do students do their senior project in? Basically anything, okay? A very broad set of topics, games, security, robotics. Students, we sometimes have student project teams that span multiple majors. Okay, so for example, I had a student contact me recently, a project that's spanning math, physics, and computer science. Okay. And certainly breadth. I mean, one of the really cool and interesting things at WPI, and certainly probably the most distinctive, is this junior level project that we have, the IQP. That junior level project, students must do a project that looks at the interaction of society and technology. In that project, and obviously in more normal times, and we're certainly getting there as we're starting to send students back out to project centers. But here's a kind of a map, a global map that shows how much of the globe that we have in terms of sending students to various sites. And you can think about a project site as, say, 25 students and a couple faculty that arrive. They will spend an entire term, an entire 7, sometimes 8 weeks at a particular site where all the students are doing at that time is doing the project. And so that's a phenomenal opportunity. And what is truly special about it as a computer science major at WPI is it's so accessible. At many schools, trying to major in computer science and thinking about getting off campus is difficult because you're often trying to find classes at another university somewhere else that could apply back at WPI, where here you're end up, and all you're doing is one of these projects. And because we have a very flexible schedule with classes being offered multiple times each year, it's very easy for computer science majors to go away. Just a little bit more of a sense of the kinds of work that goes on. So again, we have about 35, 36 full-time faculty in computer science. So there is a very broad range of topics that computer science faculty are interested in. So they're just giving a sense of some of the research groups and some of the labs that faculty and students are involved in. So I like to use this slide to illustrate that. So WPI Computer Science is really about impacting society in different ways. And so this is a picture I put together at some point. So at the middle, at the core, okay, is kind of some of the topics that one would study as a computer science major. And so those are kind of core computer science topics that our curriculum is built around. Okay, around that is what I call this kind of computing ring. Topics that are certainly related to core computer science, but bring in other aspects. Okay, and you see things around that, what I'm calling this computing ring here, are translating into some of the interdisciplinary degree programs that we have. And then clearly around that is the societal impact, where computer scientists are impacting all aspects of society. And it's not just, you know, the obvious places that you see technology, but you see technology and you see computer science across all aspects of what we do in society. Just a couple specific points: utility and health systems. So here's, you know, home water usage, you know, making measurements, gathering data, building models that help make predictions about that. A picture from a neonatal care unit where computer scientists helping to make sense of the signals that are being monitored and finding signals and data in that, you know, that what is being measured there. So here's a what we would think about as a social network graph. You might be sitting there in the middle, and these are, and all the points are people you know, and these are connections between them. Okay, but to a computer scientist, this is a graph, which is a quite common data structure that we work with, do things with. And so computer scientists are working with social scientists to make a better understanding of what is happening in society. And so finally, what are our students doing when they get out? So in 2019, actually, I think this is from 2020 data, an average starting salary of $88,000 or over $88,000 in terms of what students with a bachelor's degree in computer science. The last many years, at least one college rankings service has consistently ranked WPI in the top 10 amongst all computer science programs in the country. If you're interested in cybersecurity, I said earlier that there is a concentration at the undergraduate level. As of this year, we now have a Master's of Science degree that you can pursue in cybersecurity. But the other thing, that if you're interested in cybersecurity, you can earn a scholarship as early as your junior year for some amount of your bachelor work and or going on for a master's program. And if you receive this scholarship, you not only get your tuition paid for, you also get a stipend, okay? And for that, you do take on an obligation in doing that, in the sense that you go and you pursue a government related job in cybersecurity for as many years as you're supported on the scholarship, okay? So it's not for everybody, but if cybersecurity is something you're interested in, it's a phenomenal opportunity, because it really is a way, as I said, to get both your tuition and a stipend even on top of that. So that is a great opportunity. So finally, I'll point out that we have a number of notable employers that, you know, our students, and this is not exhaustive, a number of directions that our students do go and have gone in terms of where they go on to get employment. And my last slide here is simply that we have a brand new building that is about to come online. So this is a picture that was taken, I think, in August. So it's a couple months ago, okay, from our new academic building on campus. It's going to house a number of the interdisciplinary degree programs that we have on campus and that computer science is involved with. So some computer science faculty are going to be moving to that new building. There'll be student services in that new building. And so that new building is going to be coming online in January here. We're very excited by that. And so a couple things. There's a link here, and I'll just leave this up. If you go follow that link, you can get access to a lot more information about computer science at WPI. You're always welcome to send me email if you have specific questions. But let's open it up here to questions. And in fact, let me stop sharing. Well, I'll hold on for just a second, but let me see what we might have here in the chat. I see a little bit. We have Q&A.
Avery has been very busy answering some of those Q&As, but keep the questions coming, everyone. They're great.
There you go. So there's a question here. How difficult is it to get into CyberCore at WPI? Is it a competitive program? The short answer is yes. Okay. I mean, it is a phenomenal opportunity that WPI has received $5 million over a 5-year period. So it is a program that is going to continue over many years. In fact, I believe we just got renewed for that program, and I believe we were the only program in the United States that was renewed on our first try. Okay, so they obviously, the National Science Foundation, where we got that funding, obviously believe that we have are doing a good job in what we're doing. Okay.
Awesome. I'm going to jump in on a question too that actually, Avery, you did a great job. I'm just going to add on to what you said. Someone had asked about any formal background needed to pursue computer science here at WPI in terms of high school requirements or coming out of high school. And I second what Avery said. Nope, you don't have to have any previous experience. We're not looking for that specifically in the admissions process. As Avery notes, when we admit a student to WPI, you might indicate computer science on your application, and that's fine, but we admit you to WPI. So any student at WPI can pursue any WPI program. So if it happens to be computer science, great. If you change your mind, that's okay too. A lot of our students do in that first year. So it is completely okay to be undecided. We want you to explore when you get here. So that was a great question as well.
So let me just chime in here, and I see some questions about cybersecurity. Are we going to go ahead and make it as a major? I think the short answer is probably not. We've looked at it. We think that there is so much computer science that for somebody should have as background who's interested in cybersecurity that we're having a hard time distinguishing it from our computer science degree. So what we have done is we give you a lot of flexibility on this cybersecurity concentration. So you're going to get the computer science foundation, you're going to get a degree in computer science, but you're going to invest the flexibility you have particularly in what 4,000 level courses you're able to take and what you're able to do for your senior project. You're going to invest that towards cybersecurity and get that concentration. Okay. And I would say, if you know, and I do know there are some undergraduate cybersecurity programs out there, but for us, if we had a cybersecurity undergraduate program, it would be a very technical program, and therefore it would not be a whole lot different than our computer science degree. Okay.
Awesome. I'm going to ask
the other question
for some more to come in. I got a good one. And actually, I get this on the road a lot from students who are interested in computer science, and maybe more a question, Avery, you might want to weigh in on, but students are always asking about what types of projects are the CS students really working on? I know Professor Wills gave some great examples, but I didn't know, Avery, if you wanted to share some of your own personal experience on what types of projects you've been working on as a student at WPI.
Well, I will say that with all of the programming, with all the courses at WPI where we actually have a programming component, I pretty much had weekly or bi-weekly projects where I will actually write code and submit it in, and we have to have it be a working project. So at the intro courses, it was weekly projects of racket programming that were in all sorts of topics. Those intro courses are trying to get you experienced in a broad category. So you'd go from graph traversals to like using that to make like a mock Facebook. There's a grammar parsing one, which is how do you like read an equation or as a computer, all sorts of kind of stuff. And then towards the higher level courses, these projects kind of tend to get more harder. You get more time on them. So for OS or operating systems, you'll actually be kind of programming some of the components that go into an operating system. This is a course that Professor Wills teaches. So he's very experienced in giving those projects. And then we also kind of get the chance to work on our own larger projects that are more research focused, that are more self-driven. So as you get to the MQP, or as you get to some of the higher level courses will even say, we want you to do one project over the whole 7 weeks, and it's on your own time to figure out how you do it. So for an example, in data and statistical learning, which is like the math version of machine learning, we got to choose which data set we wanted to work on. And we tried to create a classification model to see if we could find which basically, we wanted to see if we could take UFO sightings and turn that into figure out where military bases are. Turns out we couldn't do it, but it was a cool project anyway. And we still got an A on it because we went to the professor and we're like, hey, like we can't do this. We're stuck. We know where we're stuck. And he said, yeah, it's not possible. So there's a lot of self-direction in that. And right now I'm working on my MQP, which is also very much self-directed. So pretty much anything that you're interested in, you will be doing hands-on projects in that.
So I'll just chime in. I mean, again, I mentioned that I'm teaching our junior level operating systems class right now. I mean, I give you the very real project the students are working on now. So the students have learned about threads, and they've learned about threads. They've learned about a concept called semaphores for synchronizing threads, and they're literally building a message passing mechanism between threads, building on top of semaphores. So that's a very specific project that my operating system students are doing right now. I said that I'm advising a bigger senior level project and related to analysis of sports statistics. Last year, and one of my other topics of interest is privacy, online privacy. I had a senior project last year that I advised that the students evaluated the effectiveness of different ad blockers that you might employ from a web browser, just to give specific things. And again, those are my interests and some of the types of projects that I might advise.
Awesome. Those are great examples. I know it's a popular question when students are trying to quantify what this looks like for them. Are there other questions that our visitors tonight have to ask Professor Wills or Avery? Well, they've got such great resources. Feel free to throw them in the Q&A. We've still got plenty of time. Keeping an eye on the clock. We only wanted to keep you for 45 minutes tonight. So we still have plenty of time if there are more questions or anything else we haven't chatted about that you would like us to go into more detail about. So we'll just see if, feel free to chime on in. We're happy to answer any questions that might be relevant. I know Professor Wills has covered a lot of information tonight.
I really encourage, I encourage, and even if you didn't catch the link, and so I stopped sharing there, but if you go to the computer science department homepage and you look at that, there's a link there for prospective students that that has lots of other information. There's a FAQ that is there. And has much information that may be of interest to you.
I'll go ahead and put that in the chat and share it with everybody so you guys have it. Yeah, that is a great resource. Oh, looks like a few more questions have come in. So Avery is talking about his MQP to a question that just came in, but there's also a student in here about, could you talk more on what the atmosphere is like in a computer science course? Is it really collaborative, lots of group programming, things like that? I think a lot of times students are like, well, I feel like computer science goes either way. Is it really collaborative or are you doing a lot of things on your own? So maybe You guys can speak to that a little bit.
There actually is there's a lot of pair programming in some of the introductory courses. Some of the projects in class are also done is group projects. And I know in again, teaching operating systems, sometimes I do group projects, sometimes do individual projects, the same thing for faculty. I think Avery was talking about some of the projects he's done, particularly as you get further up, and some of the projects do tend to be done as groups. Okay. Certainly students work together. There's a lot of places within our current building, and I know there will be in the new building, where students just sit and work. So I think, and I'll say this, no matter where you go, or even no matter where you what you end up in and major in, I think, and I say this somewhat as a parent, but also as observing a student, I think a good laptop is a good investment. In terms of allowing you to actually do work for a while. And so we have a lot of places where students are sitting around a table of various sizes, and kind of collaborating, kind of working on stuff. So I think that that's a kind of a good model there.
Absolutely. Okay, you got a couple more questions actually that have come in. Some students are curious about some of the computer science research that's currently being conducted at WPI, if you want to elaborate or throw out an example.
So what type of research is going on at WPI? I will say all kinds, okay? And because it's a hard one to pick out. So I had a couple slides in there that kind of talked about different research groups, and just to illustrate that there is a very large range of research that's going on. Let me also say and encourage, if you go to the computer science department homepage, there'll be a tab there, kind of, I think, in the upper right, that has different that talks about our research, or it has links to our research. And rather than try to describe all of our research, we've taken different topics kind of within computer science and have faculty that are doing work relating to that. Okay. And I think you can get a sense that, so we probably have, 10, 12 faculty that are working on artificial intelligence and machine learning in some way. Okay. There's lots of things, and I encourage you to go ahead and take a look at that. Okay.
And I put the link for that, Professor Wills, right in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. No
Thank you.
problem.
Let's see. So another question: majoring ECE with a minor in computer science, independent studies, cybersecurity. Absolutely. So cybersecurity. The other thing that cybersecurity, it kind of crosses between at WPI, it kind of crosses between computer science and electrical and computer engineering. There's actually a few courses over in the School of Business as well that are related there in terms of risk management and things like that. So particularly at the graduate level, our Master of Science in cybersecurity brings in some of those kind of classes. So I see, Ethan asked, what are typical companies that hire CS majors after they graduate? Companies love WPI undergraduates. Why do companies love WPI undergraduates? Okay, one, because we're fortunate to get really good kids in the door. Okay, and the other thing is, I think with this project-based education that we have, we put students in situations where they don't always know all of the answers going in. Okay, and so Avery talked about a project that he was involved in that they actually figured out that after a while they actually couldn't solve the problem. And I'm sure that was very frustrating for Avery and his team. But on the other hand, it will also serve him well going forward, that I think both he and WPI students in general, when you go out there, you're used to having to figure out some amount of stuff on your own. And so WPI students are known as, hit the ground running is a phrase that often is used, that students know how to do that. Now, I know I didn't give any specific companies there. Look, we have companies. Microsoft absolutely loves our students. We do have students at Google. We have, some really big high-tech companies. Other companies that you may not immediately think of, Amazon Robotics loves our students, okay? And they actually love computer science students. You'd think, okay, they want students who are majoring in robotics. No, they want really computer science students because they want students who do algorithms. Healthcare companies. I have healthcare companies literally in my office. We desperately need more of your students, okay? So you can take your degree in computer science and basically do anything.
And to follow up with that, Professor Wills, I did include in our chat the link to our career outcomes so you can see it all laid out. The Career Development Center does a great job of contacting our undergraduates 6 months post-graduation to see where they are, and they break it up by major. So if you were curious to dig a little deeper, you'd see a ton of different companies or higher degrees that these students are seeking. So definitely feel free to check that link out as well.
And I will just chime in. I'm so glad you did that, Emily. I mean, I think it is phenomenal what our Career Development Center makes available to you. There is a treasure trove of information that is in there. So the one statistic that I gave you as the average starting salary for a student coming out with a bachelor's degree in computer science, it came from that report. And I saw that Avery must have just asked the question about what companies students are going to work for. It gives a long list of companies that students report getting jobs with. So absolutely follow that. And if you didn't get that, that link is also off of this admission page, computer science admission page. So super valuable information, both for computer science and other kind of related degrees at WPI.
Absolutely. There's lots of information, I think, that's fair to say, but definitely all easy to find on our website, which is great. All right, fantastic. Are there any more questions as we start to wrap things up here? I know it's almost time for us to close it on out. So I just want to see if there's any other questions that we can answer before we say good night. Again, this session was recorded, so if you happen to show up a little bit later, not to worry, it will be posted within the week. So you'll be able to go back and visit it. And I know if there are other academic sessions that you are thinking about learning more about, I would encourage you to, again, go to our website. Just as you signed up for this session, there might be some other ones you'd like to learn a little bit more, hear from a faculty, hear from some of our current students. It's a great way to kind of get some additional information outside of the admissions stuff. So on that note, I want to thank Avery and I want to thank Professor Wills. Thank you so much for your time tonight and sharing your knowledge of CS with our prospective students. And to the students here, thank you guys for spending some time with us tonight. On that note, I will say good night to all, and I hope everyone has a fantastic evening.
Good night to all, and to all a good night. Good night, Lucy. All right, be good. Thank you. And if somebody has questions, I mean, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I get emails from high school students all the time, just with very specific questions. Absolutely happy to help.
We know that you love those questions, and I second that. If you have a question, please email because we're happy to do that. So awesome.
Okay, very good.
Everyone.
Take care, all.